so a practice camp up in the hills. And in the middle of the night, we got raided by kangaroos. So I think at that point it was more an Australian camp rather than Mongolian. I went, spoke to Jim Kidd. I asked if he would be able to donate some soccer balls for the kids in the remote village. He agreed, and he was so excited to help, and I even got to meet him in person as well. So it was time to leave Australia, and some people took it a lot harder than others.
Oh. You're talking about a mother there, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm with you.
So our first stop was Beijing. Does anyone know which country that is? Yeah.
China.
Yes.
Yay! Oh, I told you got the right answer, isn't that good? Oh.
Exactly.
What is it?
Button.
Yeah.
Their flag?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this was our motel in Beijing. It was very small, and there was 5 of us in the one room. It was a tiny motel. If you weren't looking for it, you would have never known it was there. You could also, well, as soon as I walked into the motel, I got a message from my mom saying, "The Wi-Fi password is I love you." Honestly, I thought she was joking, but no, my parents were sitting in Australia looking at Google Images and found a picture of the reception with a poster in it saying the Wi-Fi details.
I'm sorry, I'm still with you.
So that's Beijing there, and you can see how polluted the air was. It was really thick and smoggy, and there was heaps of people with masks on, and we noticed how bad it was, especially in the morning when we were going to the Great Wall of China. It was just really hard to breathe. So this was the Great Wall of China. Amazing view, it was just absolutely stunning. The Great Wall of China is actually nestled between the mountains, and the steps are really challenging. Some are made for dwarves and some for giants. But I didn't let that stop me, and got up to one of the top towers there. Yeah, we had a great time. We're invited to an authentic Chinese tea ceremony. So she prepared different types of teas. Some were very bitter, some were quite sweet. My favourite one was the fruit tea, which was a bit sweeter. And did you know that China has actually been brewing tea for over 2,000 years, which is way before the British? Does anyone know what this is?
That's the state of the bird cage.
The
bird's
nest.
Bird's
You
nest,
put your hands up,
yeah.
you don't get your hands up.
Oh, elementary might be watching, isn't it?
Then someone here said bird's nest as well. Who said that? Who said bird's nest? You did? Yeah.
Yeah,
Here you go.
please.
That's because you've been there.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah. Go past that on the way to the...
And does anyone know which year it was used, which Olympics?
Beijing Olympics.
Yep.
What year was that, John?
2000.
There wasn't.
So our next stop was Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia. I thought Ulaanbaatar would be quite a, it would have many old houses, kind of like a big village. Although this is true for most of Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar is actually quite developed, but not up to a Western standard. But you can probably see there's quite a few skyscrapers in the middle of the city. Yeah, and that's the main city, main part of the city, like a city square. And it's got quite a few statues. That one is Genghis Khan's general. Yeah, and that's a statue of Genghis Khan in the middle. So what was a typical meal like in Mongolia? Well, it consisted of dumplings, and more dumplings. Rice and noodles as well. It was okay for the first few weeks. So then we went on our trip to Terrelj, which is the remote community where we were doing our school development and also teaching the kids English. So we went on a bus, 2-hour bus ride, and it was a pretty hectic bus. Some of the scenes that we saw on the bus were more like from a movie. A guy got on the bus with a big cardboard box. He opened it up and took out a white bird, handed it to a complete stranger, and then he handed it back and got back off the bus. So it was quite a hectic bus. This is where we stayed in Terrelch. Does anyone know what these white tents are called?
Huge.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Alright.
One more here.
I said igloo.
Oh, no, don't give it to him.
Did you say?
You're the
I said
wrong
it.
country.
But
Load
there's someone else.
of beers in an entire country.
Just $1 soon.
Come on, Maria, it's all right.
So this was inside the girth. In the middle is a stove, which is used for cooking and also for heat. And the surrounding walls are stuffed with sheep wool, which is used as an insulator. And the overall design of the girth is used to trap heat in. So this was the river that separated us, where we were staying, from the local village. Almost every day we bathed there, and the water was freezing cold. It was all the melted snow from the mountains. So yeah, it was quite cold. And we actually, to wash our clothes, we had a metal bowl there.
Can I just ask you something? Dean, is that the only way you could bathe?
Yeah, pretty much.
He
It
was
was,
crickets. I think I would have skipped.
And drink as well, I think.
Yeah.
yeah. To get water, we actually
So-
had to. Yeah.
Next question is the sanitary side of things. Where does the human waste go? Not into that river, surely.
They built like sort of toilets things, a long drop. So
Long drop.
yeah, just.
Oh, thank God.
Same place the beer does it.
Yeah, but to get water every day, we had a big metal container. We had to wheel it all the way down to a local stream, fill it up, boil it, and then use chemicals just to make sure there's no diseases or anything in it before we could even drink it. Yeah, so to wash our clothes, we actually had this metal bowl. We had to put water in it and then add detergent in that, and to wash our clothes. Because if we had detergent in the water, there it would have polluted the environment. Does anyone know what that animal is pulling our car?
Yak.
A mile.
Yak.
Less hairy.
Someone said,
Box.
yes.
Yeah.
What? An ox? I was going to say, I thought you said a fox.
Yeah, box is
That's a bloody strange looking fox.
Better get Nigel one, because he won't get one.
So every day to get from where we stayed to the village, we actually had to take an ox cart. So it was roughly a 30-minute ride, very peaceful, and the scenery was just amazing. It was really nice. And it was probably the only time of the day we actually got to relax, so it was very nice. One of the days our ox was being very stubborn. It was going really slow. All the other carts passed us completely, and we got up to the river there, and we honestly didn't think we were going to make it because of how slow we were going. So the bus driver called in his friends. He had 4 people on horses, all trying to get this ox across the river. Although it was a hilarious experience, we got to the village half an hour late and our butts got wet because it was a high tide. So that's some of the scenery around Terrelch. It was really beautiful. The rolling hills were really nice. And that's where we were staying. That's one of 3 girths. So there was one over the left and one over the right. Yeah, and that's where we stayed every night.
So what's the red one?
Oh, that's team leader's tent.
Oh.
Yeah.
That one's standing.
Okay, so they freeze their butts off while you guys are in the war.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yep.
So before the expedition, we were told on no uncertain terms not to touch any animals, especially dogs.
Oh, dear.
Although I listened to it, I didn't quite follow, as you can see. I couldn't help myself.
What was the reason for that?
Sorry?
What was the reason for not sitting on the
Just
animal?
diseases if you contracted it, yeah. So this is where we did our construction. So here is where we laid that concrete, and we built brick benches for the children to have a place to hang out. And also in the winter it got really muddy, so they had a place to stamp their feet and get clean before they went inside. So this was us doing the construction. It was quite hard, laying the concrete, building everything. And quite a few of the locals came down to encourage us and support us. And they also made some really nice food. This was mutton and some vegetables. And these are actually warm stones that after you finish your meal, you hold in your hands, and it's supposed to be spiritual. I could really feel the spirits. No, I'm just joking. But you're supposed to. So this was the day that we were meant to meet the kids in the village. So we made English flashcards to help them out. So we finally met the kids, we played, and we actually taught them English. The most amazing thing that I found was that all these kids were on holidays, and yet so many turned up to interact and learn with us. It was really amazing. I gave them Gym Kids bowls, and yeah, they were very grateful and excited about it. Had an emotional farewell with the principal. I would have loved to keep in contact with her, but they don't have any computers or internet there.
Snail mail. You could write a letter.
Yeah, he doesn't know what it is.
It's the best time of year though, didn't it?
I'd say so, look at that.
Well, they look at it.
We went in the summer, the winter gets freezing, it goes to
Right.
minus 40, yeah.
Minus 40.
That's not cold.
Does anyone know what that animal is?
A yak.
Yep.
Oh, oh, oh.
Oh, sure, really.
Yaks and that way. Yak and yak.
Gee, in my classroom, you would have got told off for calling out.
You would have got told off heaps of times.
Oh, absolutely. Just,
Of 3 main sports, does anyone know what they are?
Wrestling.
Yeah?
Horse riding.
Mm-hmm.
Archery.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
all at that table too.
Very
Yeah,
good.
I know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you
Actually
got one, so?
compete.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, so to celebrate this festival, Mongolians usually have a lot of dance performances and also musical performances. In this case, we were lucky enough to see a musical performance, and this performance, it actually had a lot of electrical cables exposed, and and it started raining, so the sound started cutting in and out, which was funny for us, but probably not funny for the performers. Next to Lake Kobsgol, we met with our wranglers, and we were chosen with our horse. They chose our horse based on our personality. So of course my horse was the smartest, and it was very handsome as well. But it was also very, very slow. These horses are actually quite wild because they only bring them in during the summer, and they let them free during the winter. So we were given strict instructions not to rustle anything, not to open any zippers, otherwise it would actually spook the horses and they'll run off. One of the days it was really cold. The horses were quite aggravated, probably because of the cold. And one of the girls was on top of the horse, and the horse got spooked for some reason, and it ran down into a valley. Another boy had M&Ms in his pocket, and he undid the zipper and rustled around for M&Ms, and it spooked the horse and it started running around on the spot. So a lot of the kids got scared and went into the transport van, but me and a couple of my friends decided to keep riding. Yeah?
Did those horses ditch their riders, or did they do
No.
what they did with the rider on?
They did most of it with the rider on. When they were running, they said to us to get off as quickly as possible because
It's a long way back.
Yeah, I've heard that
because
The horse bolts in mount. Okay.
the saddles it's not proper saddles. They had a lot of sheets on it. But yeah, most people just fell off while they were riding down, which was kind of good because eventually it came off of the horse and while it was riding. But yeah, everyone was fine. Yeah. We're actually trekking for a few days as well. So this is kind of the terrain we were walking through, and there was quite a few flower fields, which triggered my hay fever quite bad. But luckily I had antihistamines. We stopped off at hot springs, which was really nice after a long day of trekking, really warm. And this was one of the campsites that we were in, and you can see the rolling hills in the background were really nice. We had a nomadic homestay with a family, so we're part of the family and doing different tasks with them. They cooked us various types of food. So this here is a snack. It's dried milk curd, and it's quite bitter and sour and really hard to chew. And this is blood sausage and liver as well. The blood sausage was actually surprisingly good.
Black pudding.
You like?
Yeah. We also had bread with milk curd on top and also sugar, which is actually quite nice. And we also had our own damper in the fire. We had a quick hike out to near where the family lives, and as you can see, the background's just stunning. The various tasks that we had to do was wake up at 4:30 in the morning and herd all the goats to be milked. We weren't actually allowed to do the milking because it's sacred and not for foreigners to do.
Well, you're lucky.
During our trek, it was actually the Nadam festival, so some of the wranglers were wrestling there, and some of them actually invited us to wrestle, which I would have loved to, but our teachers freaked out and said no.
Yeah. Sorry, as a teacher, I can relate to that. What happens if this child breaks an arm or a leg?
We also had a hike out to a cliff over the lake. It was really peaceful, calm, quiet. Everyone was just enjoying and absorbing the scenery when suddenly there was a really loud beeping sound, and I realized it was coming from me. Because I hadn't had internet connection for several days, going up to a high point like a cliff, I had internet connection. So it pinged my mum, and my mum got really excited, so she pressed the Found My iPhone alarm. And so back in Mongolia, I was beeping really loudly. And this is how my mum gets me in trouble from all the way across the globe.
She doesn't, she loves you.
And yeah, my guide was not impressed.
Can I just ask you about that one with the water?
Yep.
Is that wildflower, are you looking down at the water there?
Wait, this
The
one?
top left, top.
Yeah, that's from the cliff looking
So
down.
the flowers go down to the water?
Yep. Along the cliff. We took this train back across Mongolia. Does anyone know what this train is called?
Trans-Siberian Railway.
Yeah.
Who's getting in trouble now?
Not me. Sorry. Who hasn't got a badge? I'll take another one.
Yeah, so this was our cabin inside.
Oh, I thought that was all messy.
Look at that.
It's
It's kind of, wow.
It's quite packed, yeah. There's 3 different classes. We were in the second class. So yeah, we had 2 bunk beds either side. And the views from the train as we went past different villages and things like that, it was just majestic. And we also slept on the train as well, which was quite fun. And the last couple of nights in Ulaanbaatar, we actually had a big feast and we had a karaoke night. We weren't allowed to take videos, but not like you wanted to hear me sing anyway. We saw a traditional Mongolian dance show.
On the train?
No, this
Oh.
was in Ulaanbaatar, in the
Okay.
capital. Yeah. So what did I learn from all of this? I was really grateful to have the experience to see another culture. As soon as I came back from Mongolia, I went into the kitchen, I took water from the tap, and I realized how accessible water is for us. Back in Mongolia, like I said before, we had to take a big container, fill it up with water, boil it, and purify it before we could even drink it. Yeah, so that was quite amazing. And also the fresh air in Australia is really nice compared to Beijing, where it's just really hard to breathe and everyone has masks on. The communities in Mongolia are really closely knit. The families always work together to survive, and the culture from thousands of years ago is still alive today, which is really amazing to see. I learned many new skills with planning the journey, so teamwork, leadership, management, logistics. And yeah, we had to definitely work as a team to make this journey work. Also, in the remote communities, it was fantastic to see so many kids showing up to interact with us and learn English, especially because many of them were on holidays, so they didn't even have to turn up, but they did. Yeah, and I'm most grateful about having that experience and the opportunity to make a difference in the world and help. So while I was away and coming back, a lot of things have happened. It was almost like a whirlwind. I've received, so I am the Junior Ambassador for the RSPCA. I won the RSPCA WA Youth State Award. I've been nominated for the Peel Volunteer of the Year Award, which is coming up soon. And I won the Pilots of Tomorrow Scholarship. So there was kids all over WA, it was statewide, and there was heaps of kids applying for it, and they picked the kid with the highest aptitude to become a commercial pilot, and I won it. And they pick only one kid from each state. So the Pilots of Tomorrow Scholarship, it includes flights in light aircraft, light training aircraft. I have flight simulator sessions on the Boeing 737, which is here. And I also have mentoring sessions with commercial pilots and also ground training with commercial pilots as well. To apply for the scholarship, I had to create a video essay. From there, I was selected for an interview with two pilots who were just continuously firing questions, and I had to respond fairly quickly, which was quite intense. And from there, I had an assessment on this simulator as well. Flight experience, I've actually got some brochures here. And they've got discounts as well if you would like to fly on this simulator, and it is really amazing, and I really enjoyed every second of it. So what's next? Halshead Central contacted me as part of GOSAC, and they want me to run a GOSAC day at their shopping centre. So I've got another GOSAC day happening at Halshead Central on the 5th of January from 10 to 3, and of course all of you are invited. Bunnings, I spoke to Bunnings manager about getting supplies to build a crate for GOSAC, and he totally agreed and was very excited to help. So I donated some supplies and I built a crate to put out front of different supermarkets in the Forest Lake shopping centre. And the amount of donations that I got from it are just massive. You can see that trolley full of donations just in several days. It just fills up so quickly.
Some of us don't know what GOSAC is.
Oh yeah, sorry. GOSAC is an organisation I run to help rescue organisations and raise awareness of adopting and donating to those organisations.
Explain the acronym.
I was just going to, yeah. So GOSAC stands for Give Our Strays a Chance.
It's for animals.
Yep.
You're not you.
It's at different organisations. So Don't Go Astray and Cat Haven. There was so many donations and people were just so helpful. Some people even left a note on the crate to say what a good job I'm doing, and yeah, it's really nice to see those people donating. This is also Dog Refuge and Wish as well. Another dog refuge, and that's after I collected the donations from the crate. Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a parent's car?
Yeah.
He's
not
only
old,
15.
not old enough yet. Yeah. I've been nominated for the Young Achiever Award in 2 categories: leadership and volunteering. So that's coming up next year. So fingers crossed, and we'll see what happens. And maybe the National Youth Science Forum, but that's up to you.
Oh, I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, and that's my website for GOSAC, and also for my Mongolia blog. Every day I wrote out what happened, and yeah, I put it on a website, so you can check that out. Thank you.
All I can say to that then is wow.
Wow, again,
About TV
wow.
already.
That's it.
Okay, you can get your hand up for
I
this.
do, because I'm a
Thoughts
teacher
around
and I
there?
know that if you put your hand up, eventually someone will ask you what you want.
But we're not in class here,
After all
so.
those other children have yelled out their questions, they'll get to the person with their hand up.
So anyone got questions before the person with their hand up? Steve?
But I was first.
That means nothing.
Tim, what year are you going into at school next year?
11.
11. So how do you see your year 11 and 12 studies, which I know as a teacher are quite important, how do you see your extracurricular activities being part of what you're doing as a student and studying towards what you want to do after?
Yeah, it is quite challenging balancing everything that I'm doing with also school stuff. So yeah, I'll probably just focus more on my school stuff in the next couple of years, but definitely keep running what I'm doing in my spare time.
So do you think perhaps your GOSAC situation could do with someone else kind of helping while you get through your studies?
Yeah,
It's like,
well,
I'm a teacher and I'm looking at year 11 and 12 and going, mate, focus required.
yeah.
Are you volunteering? Is that
Pardon?
the vibe I'm getting? You're volunteering?
I'm not volunteering. What I'm saying is that reality check here,
Yeah.
going forward, what you do this year, next year and the year after will impact on your tertiary direction.
Yeah, yeah.
And at some point, something will have to give. And what
Yeah,
is that gonna be?
exactly, yeah.
Very mature of you.
He's a teacher.
There are.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
was-
teacher, yeah.
Yeah.
It was rather a long
And a
question.
parent.
yeah, I'll probably just have to slow everything down, just calm everything down, just stop it for a bit, maybe if that's what it requires.
What
but,
did you choose to do at school?
So I'm doing physics, chemistry, normal English, health, Cert 2 and engineering.
I picked all the easy ones.
Yeah,
So you're looking to an ATAR or you're looking to?
ATAR, yeah.
He knows his
Okay. In doing English, when you say normal English,
Yeah,
like,
just-
I'm way out of the loop with the secondary thing. I know that there are levels of English you can do.
Yeah.
And one of them is ATAR and one of them is not. Which one are you doing?
I'm doing the ATAR one. So there's 2 different ones. There's English literature and then just normal ATAR English, which is what I'm doing.
Right, Steve.
I may have missed it because I didn't have my hearing aids in. But when you went to Mongolia, you went with the school group. From which school and how did you get involved with it?
So Well Challenge is the company that came to our school. I go to Melville Senior High School.
Oh,
Yeah, and they just came during one of our assemblies and presented. They showed us previous expeditions, showed what they did like to remote communities. They have programs to help different schools and stuff like that. And yeah, it just really sparked an interest, and I really wanted to do it. So yeah, and other kids in my year and also the year above wanted to do it as well. So we had a whole group.
Roy?
Not a question, but just a comment that I've worked up in the bush, some of the missions and places like that, and it's not unusual for you not to drink the water in them places too. It might come out of a tap, but you actually go down to the store and buy bottled water because they reckon that you don't even clean your teeth with it. It's, it has, even though we were boiling it and putting it through a filter, it was only good for showering.
Yeah, well, we drank quite
That's
a
just
bit of that.
WA.
Yeah, we drank quite a bit of that water. It was just from streams that we found along. Yeah, we went through quite a few processes of just boiling it, and then we had chlorine like drips just to purify it, and yeah, we just put a bit extra just to make sure it's all
And you had an
all
extra
good.
filter.
Yeah, I had like an attachment to my like water source sort of thing.
Where have you got that from?
And yeah, that just filtered it out again.
Yes, Joe?
Just an observation. You talk about the air quality, lack of smog.
Yeah.
One of our fellow Rotarians, she's Escort Club, Ruth. She's a retired teacher, and she for many years took students to China.
Yeah.
And likewise hosted them here. And I remember her telling us one day that she took them all, they were all at the bush somewhere, and she got them late at night, she got them all out of the car or the bus, whatever they were using. Close your eyes, lie down on the floor, and it's a clear night, now open your eyes. And those kids were just alone, they had never seen a star in their life.
Yeah.
It was
Absolutely.
Wow.
yeah, it was quite crazy in Beijing. Like I said, we got quite early out for Great Wall of China, and you just look up and everything's great. Just every day, it's all great. You know, it's
Sad.
really hard. Yeah.
Right, well, thanks.
Just ask one more question.
As long as there's a question and not an interview.
There's a question. I don't do interviews.
You did that about 5 minutes ago.
You're not giving your badge back.
Can I please ask, which way up does this go? Is the symbol on the left or?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
So I've got this the right way around for the flag.
yeah. So it should have like the flame pointing up on the top. Yeah, on that
wrong way
little
round.
symbol.
You're a teacher.
Mongolia is a mystery. Mongolia didn't used to be a country. It used to be part of the USSR.
Right.
Go right now.
Also, if anyone would like a brochure, or if anyone didn't get a souvenir, please come see me and I'll give it to you.
Right,
I
Dean.
can make a comment now if you like.
How long?
2 seconds.
Okay.
No, perhaps a bit longer. Dean, as a young person, you consistently amaze me with your commitment and dedication and maturity. As a teacher myself, I don't see that in 17, 18, 19-year-olds. So I must say, down to your parents, they've done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think we've done a bit of that too, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dean, thank you very much again.
Oh, look what you're
And we
doing.
got another mug for you.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Inspired.
He loves the other one.
Yeah, that's
Dad.
what we thought is maybe give it to your mum, so the next time you go away, she can have something to remember you by.
Yeah.
Because you won't see your emails all the time. But thanks very much again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow.
I think it's worked now. Can't believe you're a youth.